Hello, this is my UNESCO lecture. This is on the Roman Empire, 753 BCE to 750 CE. And we're going to go on to the next slide. So this is my outline for my UNESCO sources for this presentation. So the objectives is to help students have a better understanding on the Roman Empire and Hadrian's Wall and how the frontier played a big part in the Roman Empire. And I want these students to be able to identify what Hadrian's Wall actually was and how it was built, and when it was built, and the purpose for the wall. Students will want to learn about Hadrian's Wall and the history behind it. Students will be able to identify what happened in the Gallic War and who Julius Caesar was. Then I'll start my introduction slide. Overview presentation. Describe what happened or what Hadrian's Wall was. Tell how the wall was built. Describe how the wall helped defend Rome, and tell about my journal article. And so this is my UNESCO source. So this is called Hadrian's Wall in Austria. So it basically discusses how the Roman lines, or this represents the border between Rome and its greatest extent in the 2nd century Common Era. The wall was built in 122 CE in the northmost limits in northern province of Britain. Hadrian's Wall is 118 kilometers long, and a lot of people looked at this as a great defense system for the Romans. They defended this from outsiders, like barbarians and the Anglo-Saxons. So yeah, just a lot of great, neat architecture that they built here, for their military. They wanted to make their empire stronger, and this wall, it really helped them out with accomplishing that. So my next slide, this is my journal article. So this is called Narrating the Post-Colonial Landscapes. And so the wall separated Romans and barbarians, like I was talking about before. They did not want them in, and anybody else who wasn't a Roman citizen. And the empire stretched 1,500 miles south to the Sahara Desert. This involved politics. Politically built artificial frontier. They wanted things like sovereignty, rule, and governance, and etc. And this wall extended beyond Britain and then the northern frontier of the Roman Empire. The community borders, I thought it was interesting how they connected with each society in Europe. This shows how well the Roman Empire expanded. A lot of interesting stuff in this journal article right here. Shows us more on the details of the people who helped build this wall. Okay, and then our next source is Julius Caesar and the Gallic War. I know this really doesn't relate to Hadrian's Wall or anything, but I thought since this is a Lualdi source, I found this one, and I thought this would be the best that related to the Roman Empire that I wanted to share. And so this took place between 58 and 50 BCE, before Common Era, and I just thought this story was interesting. I thought it was interesting how 3,000 soldiers from Vercingetorix's army, I think that's how you pronounce it, were killed during one of the battles, and that was a lot of casualty for just one battle during that time. And Julius Caesar, he was a very well respected guy. He used his loyalty as leverage in the Civil War. Um, you know, it was brewing in Rome, and this led to the public being destroyed. And this wasn't too good, but he won loyalty both at home and abroad, and you know, he was just that type of man to inspire his men in every battle that he could, and he would even join in some of the battles. Julius Caesar, he was a powerful man at this time, and he had his reign, and eventually it ended with his death. So yeah, I just thought the Gallic War was very interesting, and I definitely learned a lot from this document. Okay, and the next slide, this is called Hadrian's Wall at the End of the Empire. So this talks about how Hadrian's Wall it didn't necessarily mark the course of the frontier, despite being a big feature. This occupied the middle of Britain, and this is northern frontier was described as upland and low-lying areas of the east and west and coastal plains. The wall and the forts were a concentration of Roman military installations, and the extramural settlement was expanded and abandoned in the 3rd century. Occupation of the frontier continued until the end of the Roman Empire, and I just thought overall these stories were great. Hadrian's Wall, it was definitely a big frontier for Rome. And even today, they still preserve it as a historical site. And this is something that I would love to visit one of these days, and I hope that all of you want to visit it as well. This showed that the Romans, they cared about protecting their empire, and they did not want anybody else coming across these walls, and the soldiers, they did well at defending it during the time, and eventually in the early 400s the military occupation it ended, and this is about the 3rd century. So yeah, this and well, it does say occupation of the frontier continued until the end of the Roman Empire. So this all the way up until it happened, and during the early 400s of the wall, it was at its best, and yeah, it was really great readings that I found, and as I said before, I learned a lot from it, and yeah, and also last slide, these are all my sources. This is where I got all my information from, everything that was cited, and yeah, I hope I was able to at least give out a pretty decent amount of information on this lecture, and I really enjoyed doing it. It was great learning more about these historical sites, and I really loved learning about the Roman Empire, and how well this empire did for many years, and and I love learning about the end of the Roman Empire as well. And I think this wall, it was definitely, it showed great architecture during that time in Rome, and how good they were at building their technology that they had. And yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching this video.